Hello, hello, hello. Today I'm talking with Stefanni Brasil. We talked about enjoying the process and getting out of her head.
I'm Ivanul from Who's Agile. My pronouns are he and him. Welcome to my channel. You see a lot of agilists around me on this screen. If you want to hear me interviewing, please click that subscribe button because these are the people that I've invited so far. If you think I'm missing people, let me know in the comments. And that like button, well, if you liked today's interview, don't forget to click it. Hello everyone, and hello Stephanie. Is that how I should pronounce your name?
Yeah, Stephanie.
Okay, welcome, Stephanie, and welcome here. I want to show immediately that here, and for me, it means I'm in Ghent, in Belgium, and you're in Alberta, and I think that's Canada. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So this is where we are, and for me, on my side, the time is a couple of minutes after 6 o'clock in the evening. And how is it? What's the time on your side?
It's just 10 a.m.
10 a.m. So we see
Yeah.
that a lot of miles away, a lot of kilometers away, and also a lot of time zones away. So that's the nice thing about the internet and how all the remote tools are working these days, that we can actually do all of that. So that's the nice things. Well, Stephanie, for the people that don't know you, could you, before we jump into the questions, give a short introduction of you? Who are you and what do you want people to know about?
Mhm. Sure. So I'm Stephanie, and I like to learn new stuff, um,
Mm.
explore new interests, read lots of books. And for work, I am a senior developer consultant at ThoughtBot, and I help customers with the products and the teams, um, primarily Ruby on Rails. That's the technology that I use most. I'm also a co-founder and educator at HexDevs, where we like to help experienced Ruby developers grow in their careers. So we like to talk about both technical and um, communication and other professional skills as well. And I also help maintain Faker Ruby, an open source library to generate fake data. And yeah, I'm originally from Brazil, but I live in Canada. I've been living here for the past 6 years. So
So almost local already, I would say. After
yeah.
6 years, it feels like yeah, it's already one. So thank you for sharing that, because yeah, it felt like it keeps coming. I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that, and doing that. So there's a lot of personalities or a lot of things that make up you. So this is why I like so much to ask people about who they are, because then I might discover other stuff. The open source, I was not aware, so or I forgot already. That's also a possibility. That's one thing of getting a little bit older, to maybe forget what are some of the things. So yeah, thanks for sharing all of that. Um, well, let's jump into that very first question. What is something that people usually don't know about you, but has influenced you in who you are?
um, I actually talk a little bit, but usually with folks that ask about it. So you are asking about it, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna talk about it. I used to struggle a lot with anxiety and depression in my early
Mhm.
teens until I don't know, a while ago. And um, yeah, I used to be really harsh with myself, really judgmental, despite of what I accomplished. Like that was never gonna
Good
satisfy.
enough?
Critical,
Is
yeah, not never
is
good
is that
enough.
is that a kind of perfectionism, or am I seeing that wrong? Or I don't want to go too deep, depending on what you want to talk about. That.
There are traits of perfectionism, yeah, but I think there was mainly like that um, rigidity, like I have to do this, I have to be this, but those things were never enough. And at some point, I realized I don't want to live this life. Like this
Mm.
doesn't seem worth living. Um, like this. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna seek help. And since then, I have worked a lot on my mental health and well-being. So that has influenced me a lot, and I'm happy to
The
say that.
help or the situation? Because I think both
Uh,
can have a big influence.
I mean the help, right?
Hmm.
Um, and also the fact of asking for help and realizing that,
Hmm.
okay, I literally need help here. Um, and yeah, I that was also something that made it hard for me to change careers into tech, because I don't know, it just felt like I was playing against myself, and it made things so much harder than they should. And it also added to all my insecurity that, okay, with all of these problems that I have, I'm not going to be successful in this industry. Like, I don't see people struggling with that. In fact, I didn't even see lots of people like me in the industry in the
Hmm.
first place. So all of that made me go in this journey of, you know what, even if I
Hmm.
don't look like anyone else, or if I have my problems, I'm still just in the beginning of my life, and it doesn't mean I will have to be like this forever. I can
Hmm.
change, and it's a never ending journey, let's say, but it gets easier. And then, yeah, I like to keep improving and seeing how I can become better than yesterday, but not judging myself, just
So, what I'm hearing is that you also don't want to put the bar too high on not putting the bar too high because you want to give yourself the time to adjust and learn this. Is that a correct statement?
Mm, I think so. I still have certain ambitions, goals,
Hmm.
but I don't, mm, I don't beat myself up during the process, or, oh, let's say I was planning for this, I was working towards this, and this happened. It's life, right? Like, either I learn from it or I give up. And so I've learned how to define those ambitions goals, but also enjoy the process and not just, oh, am I there yet? Oh, am I not? It's because I suck, right? So all of those things made me still set the bar high. I still want to be better, but being kind to myself and to others too in the process.
Yeah, well, I was asking because I've seen, well, I've known a couple of people who are going through a similar kind of process, and so they are already at the level, or when they were at that part, they were at the level like, okay, I understand, I would. And then for some ever strange reason, when they started to look for help, they started to openly talk and about it, and it was like, and I expect this tomorrow to be fixed, or I've now worked for 6 months on having therapy or coaching or whatever help they had, and why is it taking so long? Why isn't it not fixed? And like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
even if you're young, you've learned a lot of things, good and bad, over the course of your life. And yeah, of course, you can't fix that, even if it, I don't like the word fix, but you can't reverse that everything in just a couple of weeks. It takes a while because you've somehow we adapted strategies to work in a certain way, and we need to unlearn some of these strategies and learn better strategies. And yeah,
Hmm.
and it's I really like how you describe it, like okay, and that doesn't mean that you don't have ambitions. I like that you added that fact to that. It's, you can still be like, no, 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 I want to achieve this, I want to do this, and it's then like, okay, but at what level? I think that's uh, really, yeah, really powerful. And also thank you for sharing, because you said like, I thought everybody else didn't have that problem. I yeah, it sounded like you now know better,
Mhm.
At least I know many people that have very similar kind of reactions. So somehow we all think, yeah, we see the best part of people and we don't see the struggles and we don't see everything behind there. So then it's really powerful to have people like you opening up in this kind of way to show, like, hey, people, you're not alone. You're, yeah, it's. I think that's also a very powerful message. So thank you.
Yeah.
And you don't need to answer. You need to decide for yourself. But is there something that you that triggered that transformation? Was there something that you at some point said, like, no, okay, now I really need to ask for help? Was there something like that, or is it just
Mhm.
gradually?
There were certain moments, especially, for example, when because I went first for college to study literature and Portuguese, to be a teacher, researcher. And then I changed my careers, and that was a really complicated time for me because it was really hard. Like I went for to study computer science for 1 year and a half, and um, yeah, I struggled a lot, and I would take things too personally. That was the first time that I started therapy. Um, but I think it was primarily when my husband and I we moved to Canada, and it was a dream of mine, of ours actually. We always wanted to live abroad, and I was still struggling the same way. And I realized that it didn't matter what I accomplished, I would still feel the same. And yeah, it was impacting my life in general. And I didn't want, I wanted to be a better partner, right? And not,
Hmm.
if folks who live with other folks who are struggling with any mental health issues, it's a lot of emotional like work for them too, right? And so I was like, I don't think it's fair to put that on him, and I need to take control of this. Not control in a bad way, but I wanted to get better, to be a better partner, to be a better person, and yeah. So I think that was what
And
motivated.
were you beating yourself up for that, for not being a better person, not being a better partner?
Yeah, I mean, for everything, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that was also part of it, right? That the guilty, and just like, oh, what is wrong with me? Like, I should be happy. I should be this or whatever. Um, yeah, so it was a moment to get real and see. Okay, I have all of these things. Why am I still living as if, oh, as I was when I was 15 years old? Um,
Hmm. You did achieve already many things. You have,
mhm.
well, the fact that you have a life partner is already a big achievement. I mean,
Mhm.
that is, some people are struggling with it, and it doesn't matter how long you've been together. The fact that at some point you and that person can decide, okay, let's do a partnership, and that's hard in itself. I mean,
Yeah.
it's and there is a book in Dutch, and it's something like, love is a verb, like the and indeed, and I really like that, because it's a relationship is really hard work at many times,
Mhm.
and somehow we all believe in that Disney story about, okay, that everything is so, or in all movies kind of that they all, you all see the start of the relationship, but you never see the struggles in whatever kind of movies we see. And I think we can definitely beat ourselves up, independent if we need to change or not. I think that's definitely
Mhm.
really powerful message to share all of that. So thank you for doing that. Let's move to that second question. If you had not been doing what you've been doing now, what would have become of you? Any idea of that?
Yeah. I took some time to think through that question, and I realized that I would probably be some kind of teacher or instructor or researcher. Because when I
Mhm.
look at what I do and what I like to do, I really like to learn things and share them. Or
Mm.
like even if there is something that is already popular, I don't know, there are already thousands of books or of talks or podcasts or whatever. But if I found a way or a new technique or a new perspective to explore the subject, I still like to share about that. Or I really enjoy learning how we learn and how we learn better. So I think I would probably do one of those things, like either or the three of them, right? Like research and then instruct, because that's what I learned. What's behind those goals? Like I like to learn and share what I learned. But I don't think, like I was thinking about this. Oh, if I had not been in tech, but I still want to do that in a couple of years. Like I would love to do some research on, I don't know, something, an area that I really enjoy is systems thinking,
Mm.
patterns too, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with. But I kind of wanted to do those things more applied to either socioeconomic or environmental issues. Like I'm
Mm.
always interested in learning, why do we do things that we do, um, and what is getting in the way of us doing it differently. I have this, one of my ambition goals is to retire early. I'm one of the fire people. Don't know if you
I
heard
understand
about.
the concept. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So,
And you're starting early enough, I would say. Yeah. At
yeah.
the same time, I'm thinking I would like to, but I'm already 50, so it's kind of late. So yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
You can
interesting.
still, I mean, whenever I see people thinking about that, we are living until our hundreds, right? So
I
um,
hope so.
there,
I hope
there
so.
is a lot still to go.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I agree there. I
yeah,
was just making maybe a bad joke
I know. No, I
because
get it. Yeah.
it's but yeah, I do get that. At the same time, I also know that I so much love what I'm doing as work that I can't see myself stop doing that. That's a whole different kind of discussion. But yeah, I think having financial freedom is really well. It gives so much power, so much. How would I say it? Um, yeah, it gives so much freedom. It
Yeah.
gives you so much certainty to just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's
And I certainly enjoy what I do. Like I don't think I will just stop, right? I would
Mhm.
go crazy. That's not me. But I want to
Mhm.
have the option to say, you know what, I actually want to take a couple months off to explore new things, or this is not going as I expected. I will try something else or do something riskier. That's what I'm looking for. Um, but yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to doing when I get to, okay, I don't need to work full time. What do I want to do it? Um,
Mm.
yeah.
I get that. That's really yeah. I do understand that part. So yeah. So it it almost and it's not completely true, but it almost sounds like yeah. What you would like to do if you had not been doing now is like do nothing. But it's not really that, but it's still it's and in that sense, I think I'm not sure how many people have answered that already. I really like that. It's a rather the concept is not new to me, but I think it's rather new here to hear Platt on the show
Mm.
to have people like okay, I do want to retire. And I think many people would love to. I think even when I think about it years ago, many people were talking about it. But I think that whole movement is much more in an active way, like actively thinking about that.
Mhm.
In our community, we didn't really. I don't think we really talked about it, but I know that GB Rainsberger, also from Canada, had some things, and yeah, was for a long time he calls himself semi-retired, like going in and out of retirement in not in the ways, really
Yeah.
living the life he likes to do. and
Mhm.
that's a nice way to do that. So yeah, that's I really like that answer. Let's move to that third question. What do you consider at this moment your biggest challenge, and why is that a good thing for you?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's still a bit related to what we were talking in the beginning about my continuous growth on becoming a better person.
Hmm.
Um, so my biggest challenge right now is getting better at managing my emotions and my feelings and basically become more emotionally intelligent, which I think it's great that those topics are becoming more scientific
Hmm.
nowadays. And i I believe, I might be wrong, that when I say emotional intelligence, people at least have more idea, a better idea nowadays than a few a few years ago, let's say.
Yeah, I remember reading the original first book on emotional intelligence. I learned a lot about
Mhm.
it. I think it was in the start of my relationship, so I think it's about 20 years ago. We're 28 years ago, 20 years together, so it's probably like 25 years ago. And just recently, I think a year or I don't know, a couple of years ago, I heard that actually a lot of the things that are in the book are not scientific at all. They were
Mhm.
actually proven to be. I'm not going to say completely imagined, but it was not really that scientific. And actually, like you say, the last couple of years, there is actually a lot more research on it, what it actually means. So yeah, I really like that thing. Um, yeah, it's emotions are a strange beast for everybody. I would say it's like we need them, and they are very powerful because they tell us so much things. But if emotions take over and we are not able to understand them and we react purely from the emotions, yeah, then we
Mhm.
might damage our relationships, whatever that is. If it's intimate or work relationship or other, it's never
Mhm.
healthy. And I don't know how you feel it, but I have the feeling that the last couple of years, well, since COVID, COVID was definitely a very stressful period for many people. And I've
Mhm.
seen people who were kind of able to survive COVID without any problems because they were like, yeah, okay, this is the situation we're living. And then after that, so there was a lot of people that had a hard time, but some people had seemed less a hard time. But now all of these that had less a hard time are seem to fall out and have burnouts or whatever, all kind of things, because it's like, okay, they kind of kept working in the stress situation, the stress is over,
Mhm.
and now these people are falling apart is maybe too strong, but now I see a lot of these people like, oh, wait a minute, I've been
Mhm.
too strong for too long. Did you see this around you, or do you recognize some of that?
Mm, I, I don't think I have, to be honest. What I could say is, when it was in 2020, I think, I actually took some time off again. Like, I've, I've always wanted to have that option of, if I don't need to, I can take some time off, and I
Hmm.
really needed that. So I did that. And that was the moment where I think I had the most growth in my mental health. But I have not, I don't think I have noticed that, but that makes sense, what you're saying. Um, and coming back to the scientific or not scientific part of emotional intelligence, uh, there is an organization called Healthy Minds Innovation, and they do everything that they do. They do it with scientific measurements and things like that. So if folks want to explore that from a more scientific perspective and not so much from, oh, let me get in touch with my feelings, more subjective type of thing, Healthy Minds Innovation is a group of folks that I follow and admire a lot. And also Dr. Lisa Barrett. She even wrote a book called How Emotions Are Made.
I love that book. It's
Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah, I love that book. Yeah,
yeah.
It's been
Um,
already mentioned a couple of times here on the show. That yeah, I will definitely mention it also in the show notes because I think it's really great. But okay, I interrupted you. Continue.
yeah.
What do you want to
No,
say about it?
yeah, it's okay. It's good to know that people are talking about it. So yeah, that's my main challenge. I still have some trouble with. Um, oh, I have this problem, and there is this conflict. Like, it was really easy for that to overwhelm me. So I noticed that I needed to work on that, and yeah, I am always now, instead of, oh, I don't want to go seek that challenging thing because I don't want to struggle. So at some time I did that, but then I noticed, okay, I need to do some exposure therapy, let's say. Now I'm seeking those opportunities uh, and taking them to improve my communication skills, including giving feedback and receiving feedback, conflict resolution, and also when things don't go as planned or something goes really bad, how fast and how um, kindly I recover from that. Because that was also
Hmm.
something that used to take a lot of my mental resource. It was to just recover from things, right? So I've noticed that that has gotten better, and
Because you were beating yourself up when you got feedback. Is that how I should see it, or am I making it too strong?
I think that was mostly in the beginning,
Hmm.
right? Like, but lately, since I knew how to be kinder to myself, but I still need a way more time to just analyze things and not take them personally. And
Hmm.
okay, this is what is happening. What am I gonna do next, and not let those beliefs kind of stop me from trying it again, or
Right.
taking that longer time to recover.
Yeah, I can definitely see that part. Yeah, that is. Again, I've known quite some people who are, well, now it sounds like all everybody around me, which is also not the case. But yeah, you're definitely not the only person that I know that has, and even on the show talked about these kind of things. Um, I was trying to see if I could bring up the book, but I'll probably just add it to the show notes. There is a book. I've the last, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I learned about a book that's called Thanks for the Feedback.
Hmm.
And I've read a lot of books about feedback, but Thanks for the Feedback is the first book that I know that is written from the receiver. All the books about feedback are all about how to give
Mhm.
perfect feedback. And this was the
Right.
first book about receiving feedback. And yeah, because if you're not ready to receive feedback, then it doesn't work. And also, one of the things I learned also as a giver, I also for giving feedback, it's really a good book to read. But yeah, it's because you
Mhm.
really start to understand much more about how people receive feedback and how different it is. Because it's like three types of ways that people can see feedback. People can see feedback like it's an evaluation of me, and so if
Mhm.
people give me feedback like I'm dumb or whatever they tell me, I see it as an evaluation. There could be coaching in feedback, which is for me what I always thought was feedback. And other people, if when they want feedback, they just want appraisal. But of course,
Mhm.
if you give coaching and people expect, or that's my interpretation, that's not in the book, but if people expect appraisal and you give coaching, they see it as evaluation. That's how
Mhm.
I saw that thing, and I really need to understand for myself. Oh, if I give feedback, and I for me it was the opposite. I don't it's not that I don't care about appraisals, but like, yeah, for me, it felt like I really like to have much more coaching and things that I can improve. I really like to learn from the feedback, yeah, it took me a long time to realize. Or reading that book it helped me to realize that there's actually different types of way that people want to receive feedback,
Mhm.
and yeah, I learned a lot about it also for a receiver because yeah,
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's,
thanks. I'm gonna check that one out. Because if
It's
we,
go
yeah,
ahead.
because when I think the most problematic thing that I had with feedback was exactly that. Like, I don't want people to see this as a bad thing. Like, how can I do this without being a jerk, or how can I do this effectively and in a respectful way? So, yeah, understanding how you like to receive feedback and also reading from that receiver feedback, I think it's great. It works really well with me because I do like to take a lot of that into consideration into everything that I do. It is, am I saying this in a, in a, could I have said this in a better way? Or I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I do want to um, be assertive, right? One of the books that really helped me, I mentioned this book to everyone. It's called The Assertiveness Workbook. It's not only about feedback, it's one
Hmm.
of the things there. It's a workbook, actually. So, The Assertiveness Workbook, how to stand up for yourself in your relationships and at workplace. That book, yeah, there is a Stephanie before and after. Um,
Okay, I'll definitely link that in the show notes as well. It reminds me a little
yeah.
bit about radical candor, which is also kind of book to about okay to say really what you want. It for me a lot of that depends. When I read books like the assertiveness workbook I didn't read, but what I've noticed is that it really depends on the type of people. People who are already assertive, if they would read it, they might become much more aggressive because they say, "You see, this is thing," and maybe. And I think indeed the people who are too soft on other things and might be too nice learn a lot about these books to really say like it's not about being nice. Feedback, the better you formulate it and the better you are on this is what I want, the better it is for both parties. And I think that's and actually in the thanks for the feedback there is a part about that as well. I don't
Mhm,
remember the big part, but yeah, there is definitely something in there as well. So
mhm.
well, yeah, we've just been started and we already have mentioned lots of different books. So it's interesting. I will add all of them to the show notes if I don't forget.
Mhm,
But definitely, thanks. So thanks for sharing that. Now, and I think you talked already a little bit about it, but the second part of the question was, why is that a good thing for you? And could you
mhm,
say some more? Because you kind of briefly touched on it, but yeah, is there more?
mhm. I mean, for me, it's because I want to be a better friend, a better partner, a better colleague. And I realize that if I take the time to get better at those skills, it will help me achieve that. Um, yeah, I think at the end of the day, the quality of our relationships is, of my relationships, I'll say it about me, but I think the quality of my relationships is what matters to me at the end of the day,
Mm.
even if I accomplish things or not. Um, so I really, I don't know, I want to be a better person in general, and that's why it's a good thing for me. Um, yeah, in a nutshell.
All right, but yeah, I think well, it's a wonderful idea on like okay, let's become a better person, and I think I recognize that in a lot of people in the agile world. Like yeah, we want to make the world a better place, and it's yeah, it's impossible to change other people, so we might as well start with ourselves because that's already hard enough. And typically in many cases when we do inspire other people, and that might have a better impact and more impact than us trying to change other people. Which is yeah, I always find it interesting when I hear agile coaches who've never had a personal coach themselves, and or a therapist or whatever. It's like, yeah, you want to help people become better or do something better in the world or whatever, but you don't think you need help. It's like kind
Hmm.
of feels strange. Like at least the minimum you should try, and then at least feel how it feels for other people to be coached or we do. I don't want to make the for me, coaching and therapy is two different kind of things,
Mhm.
but there are things that are similar in the sense that there is someone else helping you, seeing and giving you a mirror on some of that. And
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that
I like
you
that.
never had, if you never had a person in your life that takes that role, how could you take that role
Mhm.
for someone else? That's like, for me, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Something that I always think about is like, because so, for example, the fire movement, I have also changed my diet. Like, I eat a plant based diet, not only
Mhm,
because of the environment, but also because I think the way that we treat animals, it's going to be
mhm,
really, I don't know, it's going to be a dark moment in our history. Some people are already realizing that. Yeah, but it's also like healthier. So, it's one of those things that it's not only just good for you, it's actually good for
mhm,
everyone. But what else? Yeah, therapy and coaching, I've done both. And I I don't know, this might sound a little bit like, oh my gosh, it's just talking about herself, but I do think it's, I like to congratulate myself sometimes, like, look at this, like, I learned some really complicated stuff that some people, they try and they give up, or
mhm,
and I have done significant life changes, decisions in my life, and I'm always thinking, what else am I missing? Like, because it's hard. Like, you're always living your life, even though I like to read books and do different things. But what are some ideas or some other ways, other perspectives that I'm missing? And I will never know because I don't have anyone or any other resource
mhm.
telling me that. So I'm always curious, like, what else am I missing? So
Exactly.
yeah, so
Yeah,
it's something
I
that I like to think
yeah,
about.
but yeah, yeah. I really love how you, because it's interesting. Like you say, these different kind of stories. There's a lot of similarities about what you learn. If it's about improving your relationship, if it's about your body, talking about eating is for your body, and at the same time for the environment. So there's a lot of things about improving yourself. Yeah, I can definitely see that there's a lot there. That yeah, that's wow, I love it. So thanks for sharing that. And in many things I hear with your full stories, I hear a lot of passion, a lot of drive. Do you have any idea where that drive, where that passion is coming from?
Yeah. I think that for me, I really like to go and explore challenging stuff, uh, new and exciting things. What I have learned is to not go straight to something really, really challenging, because there is that balance, right? It has to be challenging, but not enough, not too much. Sorry,
Mm,
just enough challenging. Otherwise, it can be discouraging. But I do like to identify and explore new ways that I can get out of my comfort zone. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, like, what else am I missing? Like, what are some other ways to see things, right? Because that's one thing about our how we live, like how we function as humans. We only see what we focus our attention, right? So if I'm not aware of some things, I will never see them, right? Even if they are right in front of me. So I like to learn how, what are different ways and different backgrounds that I can see things, even if they are the same things, like my routine, but is there another way that I can see things? So I really like exploring new things, new challenges, and getting myself out of my comfort zone. If I don't do that, I get too bored, and I always find something else. Most
it's
recently.
yeah, it's again something I find very similar to many other people here on the show, and it's somehow it sometimes feels to me that many people in the agile community, and again, of course, it's not everyone, but it's always a little bit, but I have the
Mhm.
feeling that many people inside the agile community, our comfort zone is getting out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we kind of like that, and if we're staying too much in our comfort zone, that's not comfortable for us because we feel bored. That's a little bit how
Yeah.
I, I hear your story. Yeah, it feels recognizable for you. That's what I see for your reactions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
The most recent endeavor there is improv. I started doing improv at a local improv school here, and oh my god, it's I suck at it. I'm really bad at it.
Mhm.
But I always go there because it's an environment that it's you are supposed to go there and not want to be good. I mean, there are
Mm.
people who want that, right? But there are people who work with that, of course, and they want to get there. But I go primarily to suck, to fail, and to enjoy that, and because
And if you
we don't
compare
like
that with what
yeah.
you said before, when the bar is high and you have some kind of
Hmm.
perfectionism, is that then something again you do on purpose, or how did you discover that? Because it feels almost contradictory to what you said before.
Hmm. Yeah, so that was one of the things that I was reading about coming out of this rigidity mindset, right?
Hmm.
And one of the things that I read one article or a book, I don't really remember, but they were talking about how improv might help get out of your head.
Hmm. I
And
don't have time to get in your head with improv.
yeah. Um, and so I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I never thought I would do it. I never actually watched improv, although my partner do enjoy watching them. But I kind of want I what I liked about it was, for example, in the first sessions, improv one, the instructor was always saying, like, we are gonna learn how to play as adults because we forgot how to do that. And we are not here to achieve anything. We are here to play, to fail, and to celebrate failure. And I
Hmm.
think that was I don't know any other adult environment where we have that, right? And so I was like, this looks interesting. And I have thought of not doing them anymore because I suck at I suck at them. It's really hard. Like you're there and you're like, I have no idea now what to do. But you learn some techniques to get out of your head and go with the flow. And for example, the latest one was my instructor. He said, like, when you are not sure what to do, look in the person's eyes, like that person is giving you an offer. And the first thing that we do when we are thinking is we look to the side, we look to somewhere else. But if you look in the eyes of the person whom you are interacting with, you're gonna receive something, right? And then you get out of your head and you start doing something. So that was an interesting uh yeah, an interesting thing that I got from improv too, let's say.
I really like that. I really like that. And how long ago did you discover this?
I was thinking about doing it for a while, but I started doing it, I think it was this winter. I did improv one and then I took a break and then I just finished improv two. And now I'm thinking how I'm gonna continue. Because they have some dropping classes, but I do want to keep doing and just, yeah, I'm here to suck and celebrate that. Not intentionally, it's just this is really, really hard for me. Uh,
Hmm.
but I'm in
Well,
an environment that celebrates that.
yeah, I remember being I'm not a therapist, but I did some training on how to do therapy, not to become a
Mm.
therapist, but also to learn about some of these skills and also to see the differences between coaching and therapy. And in one of the sessions, one of the exercises we need to do is make the worst possible drawing you can. And it was
Mm.
so hard for many people in that. It's like, no, I cannot do it. And yeah, there was like, yeah, there was like for many people, it's like, no, I cannot intentionally make something bad. It's like, yeah, that's the assignment. But then other people were so perfectionist and trying to be the worst of the
Mhm.
worst. It's like, yeah, that was like very interesting to see all of that happening.
Yeah.
I really like that you say you play. I'm come here to suck, and at the same time, okay, let's enjoy yeah, not being good at that kind of things.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's this is how we learn. We do something, we try again, we learn, and you see in improv typically. Or I've never done improv, but typically what I see when I watch improv shows is that it's multiple people, one saying something, the other interacting with it, and you think I want to go in that direction, and somebody goes in another, and it's like no.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that I really like about it is you can prepare as much as you want. You can go there and you say something and you are expecting the person to say something and they say completely something completely different and you're like, "Oh yeah, okay." Like that there's no way you planning anything. That there are
Yeah.
some techniques and you
Mhm.
get better at uh yeah, getting the offers. And also something that I really like about improv is you want to make the person look good, right? You are never there to, oh, I'm better at
Exactly.
this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's the whole show, it's the whole scene. And the way to achieve that is if everyone in the scene looks good, right? So that is also something that I really enjoy, that I enjoyed learning about it, and I try to take that into consideration. But it's really hard because when I'm there, I'm only thinking about, oh my god, I'm terrible at this. Like, but then I try to remember those little things.
I really like that. So thanks for sharing that, and it definitely shows a lot of drive if you go for things where you come there to suck and to learn and to have fun all at the same time. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, really really lovely. Okay, I want to move to that next thing, and what about what's your biggest achievement? And a question I typically ask before, and in your case, I'm even more interested in that. Is like because basically this is your moment to brag and to be proud of that. But how easy is that for you? Because you already talked about, yeah, the whole thing. Is that easy for you today to
Hmm.
really be proud about something you achieved?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, it is. Yeah, today it
Hmm.
is. Um,
But it also sounds like it is because you did a lot of work and it used to be
mhm.
harder.
Exactly. It will. Oh yeah. If we were having this conversation a few years ago, it would the answer would be completely different. Today, I do. Yeah, I am really grateful for all this work that I did, and ultimately, it helped me change my career successfully too. I the reason I say that it's also because there was this part of, oh, I don't really see lots of people like me. I don't think this is like, I felt like I was too sensitive for this area, whatever. But I was like, no, you know what, I see some people who are really terrible at this. Why can they be here and I can't? So um going through all of that, my mental challenges, successfully changing my career and enjoying my work. Like I realize not a lot of people can say that, and I think it's a privilege too. So I do want to celebrate that because it's not for granted. Um, yeah, so it took me a lot of work to get here. Just something that I like, I enjoy, and gives me not only the a good financial reward, but also it gives me time and resources to explore other things too.
I can imagine. Okay, let's then try to answer the question. How easy? What do you consider your biggest achievement?
I think it's just um biggest achievement is becoming a better me, I think, and not giving up. Not
Oh,
giving
not
up.
giving up.
Yeah, not giving up. Keep doing it, even if it felt like I would never change or life would suck forever. But yeah, that's my biggest achievement. It's keep going and keep exploring. Um, yeah,
I
there's a
like
lot.
that already. That's
Yeah,
it's an achievement, and it's at the same time it's something that keeps giving and keeps, because yeah, you never giving up is also like, yeah, okay, you, it's not because you said it today that you will now all of a sudden give up because it was already an achievement. It's something that
yeah.
keeps going. So that is, and I can imagine that that indeed takes a lot of work on yourself to reach to that stage.
Hmm.
Then it is definitely something to be proud of. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Let's go to that next question. What do you consider a personal agility tip, or what is a personal agility tip that you want to share?
Hmm. I think for me right now, it's when things change or when things are too ambiguous, and that it's also at work, recognizing that I want things to be differently is a recipe for suffering. So and this is also something that I'm working at. Um, so, for example, recently at my work, we had some people leaving, some people unfortunately being let go. Unfortunately, it's happening in a lot of places, and that, I don't know, it shook me a little bit. And then I realized, well, it's changed. Like it was changing and changing a lot, and a lot in a week. Let's put it like that. Um, and I think that identifying how I want things to be differently, or trying to, I don't know, somehow control anything, is just not gonna lead me anywhere. It's just gonna add
Hmm.
more. It's gonna add more to the situation. Right? Like it, change is the only constant in time. Even though, yeah, I think this is something that I'm constantly trying to
Hmm.
remember. And okay, like I can see that I wanted things to be differently, or I wanted them to not have changed at all. Um, but yeah, so I don't have like a practical tip, like do this and this problem will go away. I'm still working there, but it has gotten better to identify how I am reacting, and taking that as an opportunity to remember actually everything's changing all the time. It's just that we don't notice them. But if we pay attention, everything and everyone is changing all the time. And
Hmm.
yeah, I guess making peace with that is a tip for life, I guess.
Making peace with change and everything that happens
Yeah.
around it. I think that's well, and I think this is also a little bit when I said earlier on about in COVID that some people kind of adapted to that. I think many agilists are so much more used to change that for them it felt easier. I'm not going to say easy,
Mhm.
but it was like we know that, yeah, we're in a living in a VUCA world, things are unpredictable, and it's like, okay, we need to adapt to that. We don't like it, and there's other things that
Mhm.
is really hard, but we kind of accept the fact that things might be different than we're used to, and then
Yeah.
we try to deal with that. And yeah, and then, but like you say, then it's constant change. It's also it's sometimes tiring in a way as well, because we sometimes
Mhm.
want to improve ourselves, and then yeah, I've know that I really like to work on myself, improve, do whatever things to become better or different. And then people around me like, aren't you happy with yourself? That has nothing to do with not being happy with
Yeah.
myself. It's just like, okay, I yeah, I have that desire to change in a way.
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
so,
I don't want to get the impression that I have like that I'm good with that. It is still something that I'm learning. Um, it still takes me a while to process things and um, yeah, give time to the changes too. But there are some people who I see and yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, this sucks. Let's move on to this other thing, right? Like I'm not there yet. I still have, and I don't actually know that I want to be like that, but I kind of want to make it more, I don't know, better to handle, take less time to recover too. That is that is my current challenge too.
Mhm.
It's a personal tip, but it's also a personal journey.
It's a personal tip, and it's also a tip to yourself. It sounds
Yeah,
in a way.
exactly. It's mostly to myself.
It's a or a reminder more for yourself, something like that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
this is for me why I like so much this question, because many people, well, sometimes people have, yeah, this has worked perfect for me, but many people have here something like, yeah, you know what, I'm still struggling with it, but this is why I want to share, and this is, yeah, so, and that feels a little bit what you're saying, like I like that, I need that, but at the same time it's like, might not, yeah, I'm still learning in that kind of way.
Yeah.
I want to move to that next question. What have you learned about remote working? Is there?
Mm. Yeah, I've learned that it makes communication harder. It definitely takes more effort from anyone who cares about how they communicate and their effect on the others to take more time into considering how they are communicating, when. So I think that is one of the things that it's also still like hard sometimes. Like sometimes I read some stuff and the way that I read, it's as if the person is mad at me, right? And then I'm always like, okay, um, let me step back a little bit. Like written communication takes a lot of the nuance of how we speak. It's hard to convey those things in written communication. So I think that that is the biggest thing, at least for me. Like I'm always worried that the way that I write will be interpreted differently, although I can't control that. I can control how I can write it, but it definitely takes more of my time to think about that and then write. So I think it demands more from us on how we communicate. And also, when we are communicating with someone, like we're reading something, okay, what, with what type of perspective am I reading this? Like, am I putting things when they don't exist, uh, and take that step back? So, yeah, but
Mhm.
I
I,
honestly,
I,
I don't think it's just a remote world, right? But I think it's easier for miscommunication to happen.
yeah, it's so much harder, and sometimes, yeah. Well, the nice thing for me about, especially if you talk about chat, for example, if you do things in chat, the nice thing is you can also read back some things. Today, I had a conversation that
Mm-hmm.
someone completely misunderstood me. I was like, "Come on, I'm trying to. I think I really explained it well." And then I think we had so we switched to video. So we had a conversation to video where I was much better to explain. And then
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, I needed to look something up with about something else with that person, and I did come back to that same conversation, and I reread it again, and there I could see, okay, this is where I said the word that could
Mm-hmm.
interpret it in two ways, and okay, I meant it in one way, and the other person meant it in the other way, and that is what caused that whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I wouldn't say I was mad, but I didn't understand why there was that person did understand me. And now I can definitely see, like, okay, if I would have used a different word, I would not have created that confusion. And so yeah, so the good thing for me is by being able to read back, now I can understand what was
Mm.
wrong with my communication and what was my part in that. And that is sometimes, well, that is in person you can't do that because you don't, you
Mhm.
can't go back to that. So I do think for me, remote reading back, and especially when there is how would I say, when there is a lot of miscommunication, misunderstanding, I
Mhm.
force myself to, when I can, to look back at some of the things and to really learn and look like, okay, where did I screw up? Because by
Mhm.
default, of course, I always think it's everybody else. That's a little bit of how most of our brains are wired. But at the
Yeah.
same time, yeah, I already know that that's not true. I know that I'm definitely a big
Mhm.
part of like with everybody else. We misunderstand and
Yeah.
we are sometimes making things less clear. So yeah, it's always a little bit of both, I think. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
And
I
then,
do. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
mhm. Sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, if depending on the situation, or for example, when that happens, and if you see, so for example, on pull requests, right, you're doing code reviews, and you see that there's a lot of back and forth, that is not the place to have that discussion, right?
Mm.
It's gonna be way faster and more productive and less tiring for everyone if you schedule a time with that person. Hey, let's talk over this, over let's talk through this over a call together. And then you realize, oh yeah, no, I get your point. Like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks, now I get it, so that those are also opportunities to notice that, like, okay, we are writing here, can we maybe talk about this? And usually things go better when we do
Mhm. Yeah,
that.
for me, it's something I've seen in chat. Whenever there is a discussion and we go back and forth like 5 times, it's like, no, it's time to start talking, because it's too much. And yeah, but then you need to find the time to do the talking, and yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. And one another thing about communication in the remote world is whenever I see someone saying something that I notice, oh, this was a really thoughtful way of saying that, right? Or someone is giving feedback to the team or something like that, and they do that in public. I usually, like, this is a tip that I learned from my previous team lead. If I see some really good communication examples out there, I try to copy and paste them in a place that I can look back. So let's say that I'm in that situation next, I can use that as an example, right? So yeah, it's like a mini example collection for for my future. So
I like that. I like that. It's and we all need these kind of collections, I would say,
yeah.
and yeah, have these kind of reminders. So thank you for sharing all these, well, that collection with us, I would say, then, and
Mhm.
sharing it
Yeah.
for everybody else to look back and then learn from you. Because that's, yeah, it really feels like you started with some of the struggles, but still I also see how much you learned over the years on so many different things, and how that influenced you on like also with remote working and everything. So really,
Mhm.
I love that message. And I want to move to that next question. And we already talked about some books, but what was a book that you intended to talk about?
Mm, let's see. So actually, so the latest book was actually the second book
Hmm.
from the Three Body Problem series. I don't know if you know about that one.
I
Uh,
don't. So
yeah,
so.
so it's a
And,
trilogy.
mhm.
It's like this science fiction, although it can it can really become real at any point, like which makes
Okay.
it a bit darker, I guess, when you think about it. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting read if anyone wants to read something that is not improvement or something like that. you
You
know.
do things that have nothing to do with improvement. So yeah,
Yeah, I have had to learn that too. Like I used to just
right.
read self-improvement books and I was like, no, I'm gonna read this just because I want to read,
Hmm.
just for the pleasure of it. Yeah, so I've been doing more of that. So that's a good read if anyone is looking for, summer reads. um,
Exactly.
but it can be a bit darker, I guess, if you think about it, like all the problems that happen there. But I don't know. I find it interesting to just imagine a
As
complete
as a guilty pleasure
improvement.
or as something to not be working on improving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And then right now, what I'm reading is How to Have a Good Day. It's a book about
That's
applying.
the book, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm reading it. It's if folks already have done lots of therapy or know a lot about CBT,
Hmm.
it's not most of the ideas are not super new, but I do like some reminders or different perspectives and more applied to the workplace. So that
Hmm.
has been a good read. I'm still in the first 100 pages, um, but that is a yeah, it's a good book. I think the examples are good.
It's yeah. Thanks for sharing a book also while you're reading it, because I think it's haven't finished it, so the might at the end might not be good. So
Yeah,
but at the same time you're yeah look, and I really like also what you say, that maybe some of the things are not new, but I think, well, for many of us, repetition is good to learn
hmm,
repetition, and so reading a similar kind of book that might say it either in different words or yeah, whatever, you might just be in a different part of your life, and that's why it kicks in, where another book that you read you might not have understood the same idea. And so
yeah,
this is why I think it makes sense to read different kind of books on similar kind of topics.
yeah.
So
I
I think
agree.
that is really good thing to share books like that. So thanks for sharing that. So yeah, I will add the other book as well to the show notes, just like this one. I want to move to that next question, and with everything that we discussed so far, yeah, this is already for me always a very interesting question. But with the conversation that we had today, I probably even more like, what's a question that I didn't ask you, but that you think I should also ask you, and what's the answer?
Yeah, I thought about this. I think the question would be if I could change anything in how we work, what would it be? And for me, it is I don't understand how, with all the changes, all the improvements, and whatever, we're still working as if we were working in the 20th century. Like the hours of, I don't know, even like in the industrial revolution, right? Like we are certainly working less hours than then, but we're still in this factory mindset. You start the day at this time and you have 8 hours and all of that, because most of us, of course, lots of things have changed, but most of us are now doing mentally challenging work. And it has been proven over and over that actually having more time to not be sitting at a desk and have regular hours improves with creativity and focus and um, finding solutions. So I that would be one thing that I would change. It would just be like the expectations around the hours and how we are expected to work. So yeah, that's what I would like to change in the workplace, because we are not just sitting our butts in a chair and producing things. Like it requires thinking and relaxing moments and doing something else so that your brain is thinking about it in the background, but you're giving yourself that mental space to come with better solutions, more creative solutions, things like that.
Wow. Again, really interesting answer, and really interesting, yeah, how you look at the things, and these kind of things. So thank you for sharing these things.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really love how our conversation is going in all kind of directions, and at the same time linked in so many ways. So I really
Mhm.
like that. I want to move to that last question. Who do you think I should invite, or who do you think I should ask?
Yeah, I think Tiago Araújo, who is the co-founder and my partner at Hex Devs, we both kind of
I think
share
this is
similar
Tiago, right?
things. Oh, that is not. I don't know.
Oh, I
I
should
don't
have
know.
checked before.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay. I don't know who that person is, but they look happy.
Okay, then this is interesting because I've checked these things, and then I pick up the pictures and I try to check it before, and once in a while I forget that, and this is one
Yeah,
of the cases. So okay, bad picture. So that, yeah,
yeah. You
again, talking
will.
about making errors and owning up. So I'll
Yeah,
definitely add the link to the correct profile in yeah in the show notes when we're finished.
yeah. I shared in the chat a picture of him. But yeah, he's also a senior developer, uh, and we share lots of our ideas. We talk a lot about agile and extreme programming too. So I think he could be a good person to chat with.
Let me see if I can still bring him in, because I do try. This is going to be interesting if I can. Just quickly, um, I should be able to. That's the picture
Yeah,
you sent,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So much better, or much different person than
Much
was, and
different.
also also smiling a lot. So that's also very. So yeah, thanks
Yeah.
indeed for sharing. Um, so, but now we got distracted a little bit. Why did you want to invite this person?
Because we talk a lot about all of those things. But I feel like he's a bit less, not outspoken, but he does those interviews less than I do. But I always tell him,
Mhm.
like, you have great ideas, like you have lots of experience, you care about what you do, about people you work with, and I think it's good to have more people like that being
Mhm.
interviewed. Right? So yeah, that is why.
So, and as a kind of example, like what you say, that a person that might, yeah, hide is maybe the wrong word, but might be, yeah, indeed, making less, I don't know, effort to share his ideas and whatever, and by result, and also probably be invited less
Mhm.
by people who might be thinking about him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good too. Then, so that's exactly one of the main reasons why I ask people to invite others, because that way we can help each other out and make sure that we are in a larger thing. So yeah,
Mhm.
so thank you for doing that. Um, yeah, Stephanie, it's been a really wonderful time, wonderful moment to spend all that time together. Like I said, it's going in all kind of directions. I really love this kind of conversation.
Mhm.
For the people who want to learn more about you and want to reach out to you, what could be a good way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, if I think the best way is by email. I have my contact info on my blog, stefanniebrasil.me. I can share the links later. I also write on HexDevs and ThoughtBot blogs. We can also share the links. And we have a free newsletter on HexDevs too. Like whenever people reply, I reply back too. And yeah, also, yeah, it's mostly by email. So,
Okay, and that I can actually say that the way we have, how would I say it, the way we have interacted to get
hmm
this thing going worked really well for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was, I can definitely see that, say that this did work to get that, yeah, to get answers from you in this kind of thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, I definitely think that that works fine. I can, how do you say, I can vouch for that, in a way.
Yeah.
That's that
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah. I'm also on social media, but I always say like if you send me DMs, like I won't see it. I don't see it. I think if people want to really like when I want to start a conversation with someone, I will check if they have a page about how to best reach out to me. And in my blog and on Hex Labs, I always say it's by email. So if the person did not send an email, I say, okay, they didn't read this. So yeah, I am not gonna reply
No
or because
reply.
I don't check it that often either. Like
Mhm.
yeah, it's mostly my email. So
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know how it originally started when we started having or planning that. But definitely, I can vouch that we say that we moved to email, and that worked really well. And I think that's probably because Marilyn, who invited
mhm.
you, was started the email. If I kind of hardly remember these kind of things. So yeah, that's a good addition to that, and that's exactly why I asked that question, because many
Mhm.
people have different, I know people who say no, never email me. My children would say like, email, this is for very old people. And very old, that basically for them means like 2 or 3 years older than the oldest of them, so that's not really old. But yeah, I think that every generation and every person is different, and wants a different
Yeah.
kind of way to reach out.
Mhm.
So that's important. So thanks for this whole conversation, this whole evening, I would say. I really enjoyed it. You said
Me
up front you
too.
were not sure about, yeah, if it takes longer than an hour, how much energy will I still have? I have the feeling you still have lots of energy, lots of laughter.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah,
is it. Yeah. Thank
um,
you.
I
Yeah.
really like it. So thank you very much
Yeah.
for your time.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for yeah, this chat. I feel like we have already known each other. Like we were talking about a bunch of stuff. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Hoping to I don't know, meet you one day in person.
That's one of the other things, is that it allows me to meet so many people. And yeah, it's dual, because at one time it's like, one of the reasons why I'm doing it is to meet people while I can be at home and be with my family. My kids are in the middle
Mhm.
of exams, so this is the right moment to not go out and at different locations, but really stay in and have conversations. And yeah, within, I don't know, when this is finished, I will just leave my office and go back to my family. And at the
Mhm.
same time, I learn so many people that I say, okay, now I can learn. Next time I go to Canada, I can talk to
Yeah.
you or to other people. So yeah, that allows me so much more to, yeah, to meet people in other parts of the world. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
really wonderful. So thanks for
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, thank you too.
Have a good night, or better day. For me, it's
Yeah.
night, and for you, the day is starting. So yeah, I already mixed up.
That's right.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you for watching Who's Agile, where the stories of agilists come to life. I hope you liked today's interview. Subscribe if you're not subscribed and want to get to know other agilists.